Hi guys, today we're going to make a poinsettia plant. What you're going to need is a piece of construction paper, any color, a piece of white construction paper taped together, two small pieces taped together, or one large sheet that's the size of two pieces of construction paper, some scissors, green, red, and white paint. You can use any brand or any type. I've got two are tempera and one's acrylic. You could use all acrylic, you could use tempera. This could even be done in watercolor. So whatever paint you've got on hand. A glue stick, a marker, and you'll need to take a sponge and cut it into the shape of a leaf. And I'm going to use the side that's not green. I like the green side to hold on to. But that's what we're going to use, and we're going to start with our piece of colored construction paper. So take your piece of colored construction paper and fold it in half, hamburger style. Hamburger style is the shorter, it leaves you a shorter piece of paper. Hot dog style is where it becomes very long. So instead of long, we're going to go hamburger style, which is just a little bit shorter. We're going to fold it in half. And here's the folded edge. That's the part I don't really want to cut. So I'm going to draw around it. I am going to go out to the edge. And I'm going to draw a line that goes in and a line that goes down. Let's make sure you can see that. Maybe your parents will be able to help you with that part. The next thing I want to do is I want to take my scissors, and I'm going to use my belly cutting, and I'm going to cut on my line. Remember, in belly cutting, the scissors stay still, but the hand is busy moving. I need to cut this one more line here. And that gives me a flower pot for my poinsettia. So I am going to now get my bigger piece of paper, and I'm going to glue this down at the bottom. I'm going to take my glue stick, and I'm going to place just a little bit of glue on my flower pot. And I'm going to get right out to the edge on that. All right, there's enough glue there that it will definitely stay down for me. I need to line up the bottom edge of the pot with the bottom edge of the paper. I don't want it hanging above it. I want to sit it right on the bottom edge. So I'm going to turn it over. And I'm going to make sure those two things are touching. And then I will flatten it down. And you may need to hold it there just a minute or two. Well, a few seconds. Just a few seconds to make sure it really has a nice stick. And that leaves me plenty of room to make my plant on this large sheet of paper. I'm going to pour the paint and come back, and I'll be right with you. In my tray, I've placed some red paint. And I've placed some white paint with a little dot of red, and I'm going to stir that together, and that will make pink. So I've got my pink paint and my red, and at the end I'll need a little green paint, so I'm going to go ahead and pour that now. And now's the fun part. I'm going to need my sponge. I've got my sponge and I've cut it into a leaf shape. Your parents can do that part for you, I'm sure. And I have wet it, but it's not dripping. It's just damp. I squeezed it out really well. You want it a little bit damp. We're going to start with the red paint, and I'm going to dip my sponge in there, and I'm going to swirl it around. And I just want to make sure that it's not too globby. And what you want to do is you just want to look at it and make sure there's not too many big piles. Like there's a big pile of paint there. So I'm just going to kind of rub it against the sides of my dish or paper plate. And that's about what I want. And you can do this two ways. You can just start stamping in leaves any ways you want, wherever you want the leaves to go. And you want to press down to get a good print. So you can just cover it with the leaves. Just make sure the pointy part is going in different directions. And I could print all over, and that would be one way. Another thing I can do is I can imagine or draw in a small circle with a yellow crayon or a yellow pencil. Poinsettias look to me like they almost always have yellow in the center. And I can take my sponge. Oh, I may need to get more paint on that. Let's see. Yeah, if the print stops being very clear, you can just go dab it and get more paint. Like that. And I'm going to dance it around the circle with the pointy end always going away from my circle. And I'm going to go to the next one. So it's touching the circle with the part that's flat, and the pointy end is away from my circle. My hands are messy. Your hands will probably get messy too, so be sure to keep a baby wipe or go wash your hands when you're done. You don't want to start touching your face or anything like that. I'm going to go again. I'm going to touch this against the circle. The pointy end is away from the circle. And I'm going to keep moving it around like that. That's pretty. I think I'll put a few more touches in behind it, and you can see I don't go back and redip in the paint very often. Usually the sponge will hold a lot of paint for me, so I don't have to keep doing that. So I'm going back around it into the white places. There we go. Oh, that's really pretty. And for the rest of it, I'm going to just add leaves, and I'll show you in a bit what to do with yellow to make up some centers. All right, that's about enough. I'm going to let that dry for now, and I'm going to come back and add just a few little special touches at the end. I'll see you in a moment. All right, that's had a little time to dry. So now I could go in with some pink. And while the sponge is still red, I haven't washed it out and it's still damp, I'm going to go ahead and dip it into the pink paint. In stamping, it's considered very pretty often if there's more than one color present in the sponge. And so I'm going to go into the painting. There's some white areas. And because I let it dry just a little bit, it might end up looking like the pink is on top, which is what I was hoping for. Redip that. And it's okay if it touches the pot. So if your sponge goes down, now I wouldn't go stamping, let's see, I'm going to move this a bit. I wouldn't go stamping down here on purpose, but if it looks like it's growing over the pot, that can be a really pretty effect. Let's see, maybe there. I'll put one more there. Okay, I think I'm going to stop for now. I'm going to let it dry, and then I'm going to come back in a moment with a yellow crayon or colored pencil, and we'll finish our poinsettia. Hopefully yours is dry now, and I'm going to take my yellow crayon, and I'm going to just find a few places to imagine as centers. This is especially true. Here we drew a center and then stamped around it. If you don't want to do that and you just want to print all over, you can just find little gaps of white near the middle part, not out here, but in this kind of middle section where you could imagine there might be some centers of poinsettia. Oh, that's still a little wet. So I've got a little pink that blended there, but I still think that looks good. So I've got that done. Now you want to take time to go wash out your sponge. We're going to use it to make some green leaves. All right, hopefully it's pretty clean. It may have lots of staining on it, but that's okay. I'm going to dip it into the green and just a little bit of paint. I don't want a whole huge globby amount because that doesn't make pretty stamps. And you can see I'm wiping it up against the side to level it off a little bit and make sure I don't have a globby amount. That looks pretty good. I'm going to put some leaves near the bottom of the bouquet. And so I'm just going to stamp those in near the bottom and maybe a few up toward the side. As long as you're getting good color, it's just fine. If you're not getting good color, you'll need to go back in and restamp it. I had a mistake happen there. You could try, if you make a mistake, to try to rub it off, but I'd rather just kind of stamp over it. Okay, once more we're going to let it dry and we'll come back and I'll show you what you can do to dress this up one more step. See you in a moment. Now, poinsettia plants are sold near Christmas. You'll probably see them all over the stores, grocery stores, Walmart, Target. They all have the poinsettias this time of year. And they're usually fancy, and one of the ways they can be fancy is tissue paper. So I gave everyone in my class some tissue paper, and they could put it on however they wanted, if they wanted. I'm just going to use a little glue stick, and I'm going to line the edges there and place some tissue paper at the bottom to make it a little bit fancy. Well, I hope you enjoyed this project. I look forward to seeing what you're doing. Send me the pictures. I always enjoy your work, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.